Hello, and welcome to this episode of Boxes of Comics. I'm your host, Boxes of Comics. And this week we are continuing reading Marvel Encyclopedia. Now, this week is a special week because we have now hit 90 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you guys for subscribing and liking and leaving comments. And we appreciate all the love and support. So today we're just gonna continue reading the Marvel Encyclopedia, and hopefully we get some people in here that want to talk, maybe even join the show if you'd like. So yeah, here we have Kid Collector Comics. He's from Stanables, so it's good to have him here. Hope you're doing well. Like I said, we're going to read this and talk about the future of Boxes of Comics since now we have 90 subscribers. So, yeah. So, the past couple of videos we've been talking about just Marvel in general, as the book does. We talked about Space, Daredevil, Black Panther, and Black Widow, the last video, if I remember. So, yeah, it's a pretty big book. So, that's what it looks like. And it's actually big, and it's got, I don't know how many pages. Let's see, 240 pages to it. So, there's a lot of information to cover. So, it looks like this week we are going to start with The Incredible Hulk, as you have a couple Hulk quotes here. You have how Hulk is extra mad, Hulk is not sorry, Hulk is Hulk, and Hulk smash. Now, it starts off with Hulk, and this book was pretty cool. I got it. Oh, yeah. Where can I get a copy of that? You can get it through Amazon. I got mine from my grandma. She gave it to me. She picked it up because she saw it at Amazon. I'm sure they're probably at Barnes & Noble and your other favorite bookstores. But let's dig in to The Incredible Hulk. So, his real name is Dr. Robert Bruce Banner. His allies are Spider-Man and Iron Fist. His strengths are that he's almost invulnerable. He's got super strength, swift healing powers, and can resist mind control. His weakness is that he gets really angry really fast. So that's what makes him the Incredible Hulk. Yeah. What else? There's a couple different Hulk incarnations. There's the Savage Hulk, Joe Fixit, World Breaker, Doc Green, and Savage Banner. So there's different interpretations of the Hulk throughout the entire time, as you can see. So there's a couple different Hulks right there. And there's also a couple different Hulks. Let's see. Towards the edge. Right there. So that's pretty cool. Another interesting thing about the Hulk is with the movies, there was the 2003 Incredible Hulk movie, which was made before the MCU. So that would have been 1 year after the original Spider-Man movie. And then there wasn't a sequel. It just did a reboot and went into the Incredible Hulk movie of 2008, which is part of the MCU. But it doesn't have Mark Ruffalo. It has Edward Norton as the Incredible Hulk. So it's like the beginning stages of the MCU, and it just didn't do so hot. So Edward Norton didn't want to do it, so they put Mark Ruffalo into the Avengers, and now look at Hulk. He's a superstar. So that's pretty interesting fact. You also have this guy called Maestro Hulk, which is Hulk, but 100 years in the future, Earth is devastated by a nuclear war. Hulk is driven mad by radiation and turns into the Maestro and evil bearded overlord. So that's pretty interesting. And there's actually a comic series of that too. So that's pretty cool. Next up, this looks like Hex Power and Scarlet Witch. So it says the Scarlet Witch can reshape reality, giving her immense superpowers. You might think that would make her happy, but Wanda is a complex soul, unsure of who her parents are, troubled about her lost children, and vulnerable to villainous manipulations. So that's pretty cool. And Scarlet Witch, she's an X-Men, which is part of Fox, but she's in the MCU along with her brother Quicksilver. And so that's interesting because they were introduced right before Age of Ultron, but they were like teased in the after credits, and then their big debut was Age of Ultron. And in that movie, you have Quicksilver get killed off, and they were going to bring him back in Endgame, but that didn't happen. They decided to do Steve Rogers going back in time. So that's pretty cool. Another thing is that there's the new WandaVision show coming out on Disney Plus. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. And it looks like they're going to go through a bunch of different times, like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. But then it's also supposed to tie into Doctor Strange with the multiverse, and along with the third Spider-Man movie. So that's pretty cool because you got Phase 4 coming up, and now everything's connected. So that'll be interesting. I personally think what's going to happen is the WandaVision TV show is going to open up the multiverse, and then Doctor Strange is going to come into the multiverse drama through his own movie. So Wanda is going to have to find him. And then after they fix the multiverse, they're going to have like the after effects, and that's where Spider-Man comes in. And so Spider-Man's going to have to deal with it. So that'll be pretty cool. WandaVision is going to be trippy. It's got a couple different things. And then Doctor Strange is supposed to be, I guess, the most scary Marvel movie yet. So that'll be interesting to see what they do, if they make it more horror, like the New Mutants, which is the new X-Men Fox movie coming out. And I think that's the last Fox X-Men movie before they start doing Marvel X-Men. So that'll be cool. So a little bit about Wanda is her full name is Wanda Maximoff. Her strength is she has mutant hex power that alters reality, sorcery training to control magical powers. And we see that through all of the MCU, from Age of Ultron all the way to the new Avengers Endgame, where she takes on Thanos. So that's pretty cool. Her weaknesses is influence of villains such as Doctor Doom can lead to destructive urges. Training only 80% can be effective. So that's interesting because that means like people are gonna start trying to find a way to kidnap Wanda and use her power. According to this book, that's what they do. Some of her foes are Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four. You have the Chitaun, Mephisto, and Master Pandemonium. So that sounds like Doctor Strange and a little bit of X-Men in there to be her enemies. Another thing this book says is Scarlet Witch loses her powers and memory, almost marries Doctor Doom. Iron Lad and the Young Avengers rescue her, and they all travel back in time. Wanda gets her powers back, tries to undo the past harm she's done, and repower all mutant. The Doctor Doom steals her powers. So that's pretty interesting to see. Oh, look who we have here. It's Stanables. Hello, Stan. How are you? Um, yes, that's pretty interesting to see. Uh, just how she's an X-Men now. Um, she's got to deal with Doctor Doom and some of the Fantastic Four villains. So I wonder if they'll take some of this from the comics and put it into the TV show and into future movies, since Marvel uh, now has control of the X-Men. And it looks like we have Stanables here to join us. Hello.
Howdy, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
This is the third or fourth time I've been on today. So, and then I still got my 11 o'clock. What book are we reviewing again? I'm sorry.
It's a Marvel encyclopedia.
Oh, cool.
Everything you need to know. So it like gives details about different superheroes and supervillains in the Marvel universe.
Cool.
Yeah. I thought that might be a fun read since you have Phase 4 coming up. So
yeah, a lot of things are going to change or coalesce. Yeah. I don't know what the right word is to say.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So that looks a lot like all the information we have for Wanda, because it like gives out some quotes and then some like information. That's all this book does, really.
I like the layout of that book. That's really neat looking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's all like super organized and you could just bounce off. So like this is like all the fast characters of Marvel. And then It's got like pretty good facts and it's laid out really nice. So you could just bounce from box to box.
I might have to pick that up. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I got it from Amazon for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. Did you ever pick up the Darth Vader book that I showed you?
I have not had a chance yet. I have been... Medical bills are finally caught up.
Oh, no.
It's all good. No worries. Now I'm finally catching up the other stuff. And, I do want to get that Darth Vader book, though. But, it's just... You got to take care of medical bills first.
Right. Yeah.
But enough about me whining.
For sure. So this page, it looks like it's called Born to Run. It says, blink and you'll miss these lightning quick speedsters. Whether they're on the run from the law or chasing fast fleeing felons, these super-powered sprinters know how to finish first. Catch them if you can. And then it shows the top 4 super fast feats. It says Quicksilver is number 1. Then you have Surge at number 2, Makari at number 3, and Speed Demon at number 4. So that's pretty interesting. I wonder if Marvel's going to use any more of those fast characters in their movies to compete with DC's Flash movie.
That's a good question. Flash is pretty popular on DC side. You know, to my knowledge, there's really no Marvel speedster that's real popular. Because I mean, you just list them off. I knew who they were, but I'm like,
yeah,
you know, they kind of show up every now and then. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and I feel like Quicksilver only got popular because of the Avengers movie, and then he kind of died off because in the X-Men movies he wasn't that big.
Yep, so, exactly.
Yeah. A little bit more. It says, in an alternate universe, the Marvel Zombies universe, Earth 2149, Quicksilver's extreme speed spreads the zombie virus across the globe like a wildfire and infects millions of people. So that's interesting because I haven't read the Marvel Zombies books. So that's interesting to know.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I just got one that I just bag and boarded. And I used to love those books, but I am so zombied out right now. It's like I just kind of go, you know, I mean, they're still fun, but I don't know. Just I'll eventually dig them out and read them again.
Yeah. So another fact, it says the super fast Amnesiac calling himself Buried Alien is a nod to DC Comics' The Flash, Barry Allen. Could The Flash have run so fast? He'd probably have been transported into the Marvel Universe. That's kind of an interesting piece of information.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, okay, that's kind of because that's a Marvel book, right? I mean, it is Marvel branded and everything. I thought it looked like it. And they're talking about a DC. That's kind of weird. Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so the last bit of information says he's the fastest. On your marks, get set, go. And then it says the first thing it lists is Rocket Raccoon. He might have a powerful brain, but he only has little raccoon legs. I don't think he'll go very far. And then, next up, you have Speed Demon. This fleet-footed felon will do anything to cross the line first. Then it goes to Speed. No matter what he says, this kid is not overtaking Quicksilver. And then you have Quicksilver. Once Pietro Maximoff is in the lead, surely no one is catching the ultimate super sprinter. And then last but not least, it has Makari. It takes something special to slip past this eternal speedster. Who will win this race? I don't know. So that's kind of interesting. They go and they compare these characters. I feel like Rocket Raccoon would find a way to win.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. I was sitting there going, Rocket is so, I don't know what the word I'm trying to find. Like, just well, he'd figure out something. You know?
Yeah, he's like so determined to not lose and to win.
Get a jetpack or something and beat him. I don't know, whatever.
Right. The top speed recorded for Quicksilver in the comics is 7,612 miles per hour, which is equivalent to 12,250 kilometers per hour. That's pretty interesting to know. So I wonder if, with that fact, if he's faster than the Flash. I don't know if Flash is fastest.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that.
Miles.
I did see something literally today or yesterday that said how fast the Flash was, but I'll be danged if I can remember what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like they comics always find a way to like match the speedsters together. Because like at the end of the Justice League movie, which in my opinion was not that great, but you have the Flash racing Superman, and that's how the movie ends. And then I just feel like they always find a way to go ahead and race each other.
Exactly. Well, you know, it's like you're saying, you kind of, at least I figured it out that Superman can move as fast as the Flash during the fight scene when they brought him back to life, where the Flash is running and he looks and he sees Superman look at him. He's like, and you can tell on Flash's face, he's like, oh, crap. You know?
Yeah, it's always kind of interesting because it seems like when the publishers put characters up against each other, it's always like who's the fastest or who's the strongest. So it's kind of interesting. Kid Collector Comics, what he says, there are so many types and Elseworlds versions of Flash, though. So that is true. So maybe
in the DC universe, you got 53 Earths or something because you got Earth X, which is ran by the Nazis, and like nobody goes there if they have any common sense, and then the regular 52. So so that's interesting. I wonder, because I know Crisis of Infinity Earths, they kind of put all the characters from different Earths together. I wonder if somebody were to collect all the Flashes or all the Quicksilvers and put them together in one race, I wonder if they'd all be the same speed or if they'd be different speeds because they're from different Earths. That's interesting. Yeah, because the gravity might be different on different Earths and stuff. That's a good question, actually. I never thought of that one.
Yeah.
Might have to write into DC and say, here's an idea for you.
Right? There's your next big crossover event. All right. One last fact before we move on. It says, World War II hero The Wizard obtains incredible super speed after being injected with the blood of a mongoose. He then becomes the fastest person alive.
Of a mongoose?
Yeah. So that's one of the more crazier superhero powers.
I mean, I know a mongoose is quick, but it's like, wow, okay.
At least they didn't like call him Mongoose Man.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Beware
well, I hate to say it. When you said the wizard, all I thought about is like going to the bathroom. You know, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm like, oh, this is going someplace I don't want it to go. So.
Yeah. And speaking of weird names, my uncle last night, he had sent me a comic that he found, and it's called The Man Brute Called Wood God. And then, like, I don't know. You could see that very well. But it's
looks kind of interesting, though. But
it seems like Groot.
But kind of a weird name, though. But it looks like a cool comic. But yeah.
My
I sometimes
uncle,
wonder.
Right? It's just so weird that, like, they just create these random names like Wood God or in my uncle's collection, he has a series of comics called Ragman.
Yep.
And it's called Beware the Rags.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting. Like somebody could just be staring at an ordinary daily item and be like, there's a superhero, Ragman.
I think back in the day, honestly, they did that a lot. You know, I mean, because... And then they just had to decide, like, okay, what was his power? Because it was rags and stuff, you know, and just like, so it's because you look at some of those older names and you're like, where did they get this from? You know,
right?
Yeah, Ragman's pretty cool because if I'm thinking right, he's the one where like his rags can protect him from almost anything and stuff, and it's pretty cool actually. But yeah, you're just like, where did they decide to get this idea? You know,
right. You'd think like you'd only get that if like you were with your buddies and like you were all high and like together and you're like, I have an idea.
I was just thinking the same thing. They're all up there at Marvel and DC and the 60s and 70s on LSD going, hey dude, I figured it out, man. Anybody got some chips? You know?
We'll call it Chip Man.
I wouldn't doubt there might be one out there.
And his arch nemesis, the salsa.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that could be
just crazy. All right, so that is all for the fast ones. So we are moving on, and it says, "With great power comes great responsibility. 10,000 plus is the number of lives Spider-Man has probably saved."
Wow, that's cool.
You move on to Spider-Man now, which is probably Marvel's most famous character after two reboots and 3 iterations. I would think so.
I would agree with you that Spider-Man is probably, in general, I mean, because it's like you can say Spider-Man to pretty much anybody and they know what you're talking about.
Right.
You know, it's like my favorite Marvel team is the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. You know, the 2 different teams. Some people you say, yeah, the Fantastic Four, and they're like, what? You know, or they might have heard the Fantastic Four, but if you list out individual characters like, you know, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, they're just like, well, that's this dumb guy talking about, you know. But yeah, Spider-Man's definitely popular. Mm-hmm. And what's so funny, it's not my favorite Marvel character, but everybody loves him. I mean, I like him, I read it, but it's just, I don't know.
No. It's I feel like it's been done too many times because of just all the reboots, and he's still a good character, but I feel like he's not as not as much as a classic character anymore because of just how much he's been milked. It's like Batman.
Yep. I was just thinking actually the same thing. I love Batman, but it's like you can only kind of sort of rebrand them so many times, even though it's still the same and it's still basically the core. How many new things can you do? And I agree. You know, it's like right now I love where the new Batman comics are going. They're actually doing a good job, in my opinion, using older characters and bringing in some lesser known characters and stuff, and creating a few new ones too, like Punchline and stuff. So
yeah, that's That's kind of what they did with Spider-Man when Ryan Otley took over. They brought back some classic characters, and that was pretty cool. Because I'm collecting Web of Spider-Man right now, and I got the first appearance of Chance because that's Web of Spider-Man 15. And they had brought him back in the new Amazing Spider-Man run. And so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I like the current run of Spider-Man, even though I tell you I'm getting tired of all these, like, I think this week is 51.LR or something like that. And it's like, come on, guys. I get so and they do it with Spider-Man like at least twice or three times a year, you know, and it's like just keep the continuation, keep it like 51, 52, 53, not 51.LR and stuff. But I guess I shouldn't complain. It has been a good run. I should just shut up and enjoy it.
Yeah. But and another thing is Marvel has been talking about they brought back Jamie Foxx for Electro in the new Spider-Man, and they're supposed to bring in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and everybody's like all hyped up because they're like, oh my god, it's the live action Spider-Verse. And I'm like, do you remember the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and what like garbage that was, and you're excited they're bringing back Electro? Like, I'm not excited for that.
Yeah, I was I tell you, I like the two newer Spider-Mans, other than, you know, they soup up a suit with Stark technology and stuff. I'm kind of like, you know, but I can understand why they had to kind of do it for Avengers Endgame and everything, you know, to make it what they wanted. But yeah, you're right, that Spider-Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man 2 was they really underutilized Electro. I mean, that guy has and wasn't that the one where they also had the Shocker in it too? Because he had those technology, or was that that was the next one, wasn't it?
That was Homecoming.
Homecoming, yeah. I thought they really underutilized Shocker too, because in the comic book, Shocker's one of his main foes. I mean, you know, that guy, I don't know. It's kind of sad, but hopefully now the new team that seems to be doing okay on the newer movies will really soup it up some, I hope. But I guess time will tell. We'll have to see.
Yeah. He says I'll jinx it. Make it a bad movie again. Oh, gosh. No. Because I was born in 2001, so I grew up with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yep.
And then I was excited for this Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and I saw it, and I don't like it. I feel like they just rushed the reboot because Spider-Man 3 came out in like 2007 or 2008, around there. Right. And then Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012, I remember. And then that one felt realistic, like it almost felt like a Spider-Man 4. In that, like, almost like it was realistic, like the Tobey Maguire movies. But then I felt like they did something completely different with Amazing Spider-Man 2, and they made it cartoonish. And like, it was bad.
It's like they can't seem to find a team that's going to keep it going the same direction and stuff. But you know, that's unfortunate. That's in everything. I mean, shoot, that's even in the regular comic books. You know, you get a good run going, and then they determine, oh well, we'll take this guy off it, and you're just like, and you give it, you know, you keep reading it, hoping it stays good, but sometimes it flops, sometimes it stays good. Yeah. But I don't know. I think I'm ruining your show, man. I'm pulling you away from the book. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna keep it short, anyways, because I don't want to go too far into detail. So, I think you're doing good. I'd rather talk about the movies, but yeah. And then Marvel brought back Spider-Man in the MCU, and I actually like Tom Holland's interpretation because it feels like the comic book counterpart of Spider-Man, and he feels like a kid, even though Tom Holland's like 20, 21 something years old. But I also don't like how they make it to him like Iron Man Jr.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the first one I kind of understand, because like in Civil War, Tony had brought Peter to France or wherever they were,
Mhm.
and then kind of like took him from his wing. And then Homecoming was fine because he's still teaching Peter how to be a superhero.
Yep.
But then I felt like in Far From Home, they still dwelled on Tony Stark,
Yes.
and they just they milked it, and it
Yep.
wasn't Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
I wonder why they're doing that, because I think I've heard they're going to bring Tony Stark back, I can't think of his name though, the actor. Oh gosh, I hate it when that happens. They're going to bring him back because supposedly Iron Man was done, and then they're going to bring him back. And I'm wondering if they're kind of doing that for, I don't know, because I don't recall that type of total interaction between Iron Man and Spider-Man in the comic books. So the MCU's definitely taking it down a different direction, which I guess, hey, that's why it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right.
but yeah, I mean, I like some of it because it's kind of cool with like, in the first movie there, Homecoming, where Peter's in where he gets trapped. He's like, oh, what's this do? Oh, cool. Oh, what's this? But at the same time, it's like Spider-Man has never in the comic book relied on all these gadgets and trinkets. The only gadget he had was his web shooters. Everything else was his spider powers were. And his intellect, because he's always been smart, and then trying to figure out a way to. Robert Downey Jr. Thank you, kid.
Kid Collector says it's more like Spider Lad.
Yeah, it almost is exactly. So, but I mean, I've enjoyed the two newest movies. I ain't gonna lie. The special effects were phenomenal, especially with Far From Home. I mean, Mysterio was like, it was some sick special effects, but
I felt like Michael Keaton did a better villain than Jake Gyllenhaal. Michael Keaton was way more evil and way more like comic booky.
Yes.
But I feel like the story of Homecoming or Far From Home was much more superior than the Homecoming, because it takes Peter out of his New York environment, which I liked. And it he has to like find a new adaptation of how to be Spider-Man, because he can't always be Spider-Man in New York.
Yeah.
So that was cool, even though it still dwelled on Tony Stark. So I'm hoping like number 3 doesn't do that as much, and they kind of let Spider-Man be Spider-Man.
That would be cool. That'd be really nice. Hopefully they will. I got to give them hope, and because my personal opinion, the one maybe good thing that happened with this. Well, there's a couple things I think might be good with this Corona thing, but at least for the industry for movies is I think because, it's going to probably be a while that movie theaters are still on limited capacity. And I think when they do start putting out movies, they're going to realize, hey, if we want this thing to make money, we got to knock it out of the park, So hopefully they don't do we'll throw everything at it because that'll make it better when, it just doesn't. Hopefully they really think it out and they just put out a superior product that, maybe we all don't get a chance to go see it at the theaters because of limited capacity. Or I'm actually hoping they get a vaccine, but, who knows? But, I just hope they make a superior product. That's my hope, I mean, you want to watch a really cornball Spider-Man, go back and watch the ones that were on in I think it's 70s or 80s on like television. And oh man, those are some corny ones, but that's what I grew up on. I remember that, and at the time it was like, oh, that's so cool, but it's so bad, the special effects, like when he's crawling up the wall, you can tell he's like doing on his hands, and you can tell that they just turned it from being flat, and it's but it's kind of fun to watch, but,
that's how I feel about the Adam West Batmans. They're like super corny, but they're really good.
Holy Gotham City Batman. Oh, it's like
the
and shark repellent and stuff.
Repellent.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, these guys are nuts. Yeah. But they're fun. It's fun to watch the iterations and how it grows and how it gets better, It's just I don't know. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But then that's pretty interesting that you mentioned that, how you said that it grows and gets better over time with each like iteration. But I also like where it's just like one iteration where you have one Iron Man, like Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
But you have Chris Evans as Captain America. But you have 3 Spider-Man. You have 2 Incredible Hulks. You have 6 Batman now with Pattinson. 7 Batman.
You got
Yeah.
there's a few in there. Six
Adam
or
West,
7. You got
Michael
Adam
Keaton,
West, Michael Keaton,
George Clooney,
Val Kilmer,
Christian Bell, Ben Affleck. 7 is Pattinson.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it actually been 7. Wow.
7 Batman, and then I think you've had 3 Superman, or just 2?
3. There's Christopher Reeves. I can't remember the one Superman Returns, and then what's his name right now? That's Cavill or whatever.
Yeah,
that's playing it.
Yeah, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, they're playing it.
So you've had 3
of them.
Superman, 7
Well,
Batman.
plus if you go back to the television Superman, you got, I can't remember what his name was, but the television Superman. So 4. But I mean, I understand that over age, because otherwise you're going to have a Superman that's 70 years old, up there. And and I can understand. But now it's kind of weird because, like you said, you got Chris Evans as Captain America, but he is also the original Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movies, If
you find the link, I think it's up at top. You can join for a little bit. I don't want to keep this too long, though. But we got time. So, if you find the link, Kid Collector, come on in.
Yeah, that's it's fun. I love the movies. I very seldom actually go to the theaters and watch them because I don't do good in crowds, and the dang theater seats are so uncomfortable. So my wife and I will go in, we get a bucket of popcorn, we'll bring it home and watch the DVD at home, with surround sound, and it's not quite the movie aspect, but it's still fun, or theater aspect, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it's still a lot of fun. Oh,
yeah. Kid Collector says it's Brandon Ruth.
Yes, that sounds right. I couldn't think of his name though, but now it's going to be interesting to see where they take him. I mean, I think after everything clears up, that if the movies, like Marvel's always done a pretty consistent, decent job of the movies. Hey, Landon, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
They've always done a pretty good job of it, but if DC doesn't get their act together, it could be bad, especially like what's going on with DC and comic books and stuff. If they drop the ball on another major movie, I hate to say it, it might be through the higher ups. It might be the end of DC.
Yeah,
I hope not, and I'm probably overreacting, but who knows? You're awful quiet, Landon.
Yeah. I'm just getting ready for the stream tonight. I got this to open up.
Cool.
Yesterday, actually.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. You going to do any more of your book there boxes? I mean, I feel kind of bad. I feel like we invaded. Hostile invasion.
No, I can move on, but
because it seems like a really cool book, to be honest with you. It really does.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of information, and I've never read it all the way through because I had to put it in storage when we moved. And then what happened is we had to move out of our storage unit into a bigger one. So I found this while we were moving, and I was like, this will be perfect for my YouTube channel because I just finished Batman Year One. So moving on here, it says, with great power comes great responsibility. Here it says, debuting in 1962, Spider-Man was a new kind of hero. A teenager fans could easily identify with. As writer Stan Lee says in The Amazing Spider-Man #9, Spider-Man is the superhero you could be. Yep. You. So that's pretty cool. Here it says, question. Does Spider-Man create his web? Answer. Peter Parker can climb like a spider, but most of the time he isn't able to shoot spider silk naturally. Parker has to invent web shooters worn on both wrists and fueled by web fluid. unless you are the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So, which I always found that idea better than the web series, even though I do like it when he's fighting a villain or he's swinging around and all of a sudden he runs out of web fluid and he starts to fall and he starts losing. So that's pretty cool. Another one is Spider-Man loses his powers when he comes down with a cold. He's unmasked by Dr. Octopus later the same day, but no one really believes that puny Peter Parker could actually be Spider-Man. So that's pretty interesting because even Flash Thompson in the new movies, he like looks up to Spider-Man, and in the comics where he goes to war and he becomes Agent Venom, like everybody looks up to Spider-Man, and then it's just like a nerd in a costume trying to do the right thing and could actually be Peter Parker.
Exactly. Yeah. That is one thing I will give the new movies that they did a good job of. That is that he is, like a bunch of people. The people that are supposed to be like his basically nemesis at high school and stuff are there. But yeah, like you said, they're like, "Oh, Spider-Man's so cool," and he's like thinking, "I am Spider-Man," but he can't say anything to him. So
yeah, and it's interesting because in the new movies they have Ned Leeds as Peter's best friend, but Ned Leeds is Hobgoblin in the comics.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wonder if he'll become Hobgoblin or if this is a completely different Ned Leeds. And I'm probably thinking it's a different Ned Leeds.
Interesting. I mean,
Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
It would be cool if he did become the Hobgoblin, because if I'm recalling right in the comic book, isn't it like Ned Leeds is like Spider-Man's or Peter Parker's friend, and he finds out that and then something happens with him and he becomes the Hobgoblin? I don't know.
I know he dates Liz Allen.
Okay.
And then I think Liz breaks up with her or with Ned to go be with Harry. And then I think Ned gets upset and then he finds a way to become Green Goblin or Hobgoblin to get revenge.
Yeah, because I haven't read that run in 30 years. Because I think that came out in the 80s or early 90s there, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, well.
Yeah. What else? Top 3 Spider-Men. Number 1 is Spidery Spider-Man. Peter is kissed by the Spider Queen, Adriana Soria, and is transformed into a full-on spider by her mutagenic enzymes. And I think that's also in the 90s cartoon where he gets like the 6 arms and he becomes part spider in like the Clone Saga. So that's interesting. Number 2 is Spider Hulk. Spidey is zapped with a biokinetic energy ray while battling the Hulk. He absorbs the Hulk's energy and turns big and green. So that's interesting. I haven't heard of that one.
Oh yeah, that book always throws me. I love it. It's actually a good cover on a book. It's Spider Hulk. It's like he's hulked out and he's coming out of the Spider-Man costume. It's pretty cool looking actually. But gosh, I think I got that laying around. I'm not going to try and find it. Take me forever. I got it somewhere. Looks like Landon might be on a mission. Maybe he's got one laying around somewhere. But yeah, no, it's a pretty cool cover actually. Well, there's a lot of spec on that book earlier in the year.
Yeah. Oh, did he find it? He's coming back.
I have the Great Power one.
Yeah.
The first appearance in Web 70 or 80 it is. I just can't find it.
Yep, exactly. I was going to say I couldn't remember what run it was in, but I think you're right. It's Web of Spider-Man, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then number 3 is Six-Armed Spider-Man. Peter experiments with a formula to restore him to normal without spider powers, and then grows 4 extra arms. And then, I don't know if you can see, but it's got a.
I see it down at the bottom there. Yeah.
Got him right there. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the
That's
ideas they come up with, like where they came up with that one. Hey, I got an idea. Let's have him have 6 arms. You know, it's like, I mean, I understand a spider usually it has 8 legs and everything, but yeah, just
6 arms plus 2 legs, I guess, makes it more of a spider.
Exactly, but I think they was really hurting for ideas or something during that run there. You know, but I don't know.
Yeah. Another one is in an alternate universe, Spider Monkey Peter Parker is a web swinger from Earth 8101. The friendly neighborhood primate joins the spider army of Spider-Man, who is Otto Octavius. And so down here, you have right there, a Spider Monkey.
Oh my gosh, I don't even recall that one. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Can you believe this really happened? When Spider-Man loses his costume, Johnny Storm loans him a Fantastic Four uniform and a brown paper bag for a mask. But the trick is that the bag says, "Kick me" on the back.
I think I remember that issue or where they did that. I think I remember that.
Yeah, I've seen that one at the comic store. Here are some fast facts. His real name is Peter Benjamin Parker. Base is New York City. His strengths: he is highly intelligent, has proportional reflexes, spider powers, spider sense, generates web with web shooters. His weaknesses: enemies exploit his love of friends and family. He is vulnerable to power loss. Foes: Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, the Vulture, Electro, Jackal, and Kingpin. But his allies: Fantastic Four, Avengers, X-Men, Black Cat, Daredevil, and Firestar.
Yep.
So that sounds about right. Just missing a couple hundred here and there.
Well,
but I think it got him. It sounded like for his foes, that's a lot of the Sinister Six.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that's what I was kind of thinking too.
Yeah. And that'll be interesting to see if they'll do more with the Sinister Six in Spider-Man 3, or if they'll wait till Tom Holland can go into the Sony universe to put in the Sinister Six. Because in the Morbius trailer, you have Adrian Toomes, Michael Keaton, and he's part of the MCU. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what way they take everything.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to them. I mean, I'm one of those guys that I watch the movies even if they stink. Mm-hmm. I mean, usually it's good entertainment if nothing else, you know. So,
right, that's what I do with the Star Wars movies because I don't like the new ones as much, but I still watch them because they're Star Wars.
Yep.
So, you know.
They're still fun to watch. It makes you, it's good entertainment for a couple hours, and
right.
Landon's having a meltdown over there. Star Wars? You don't like the Star Wars?
You don't like the new? I'm not a fan of the new ones.
Prequels are where it's at.
No, not the prequels. Gosh, that was my brother.
Skywalker.
You just like the prequels because you like when Anakin kills everybody.
My favorite in the prequels is Jar Jar.
Right?
Misa too good.
I love Jar Jar. My mom hates Jar Jar. Every time I watch Star Wars, she's like, "Which one are you watching?" I go, "Episode 1," and she goes, "I think that's the one that your dad took me to a date for, and it sucked. It has Jar Jar in it, right?" I was like, "Yeah," and she goes, "I hate that movie so much."
I just think it's funny because, he makes so many screw ups, but he's like the hero of the battle, and he's running away from everything. And they're like, look at him. He's charging them. Wow, he's brave, and he's, it's just.
It's crazy. But a couple more facts of Spider-Man, trying to get back on topic.
Sorry.
No worries. Chameleon and Green Goblin try to drive Spidey crazy by using androids to impersonate Mary and Reed Richard, or Mary and Reed and Richard Parker, Peter's dead mom and dad. So that's interesting. Because I remember in the comic books, they come back for a little while as agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
So that's
I remember something like that. Like I said, a lot of those books I haven't read in a long time, but I do remember something like, I think I even remember the androids for a little bit. I think that was like 2 or 3 issues that they were in, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then there's a rumor going around for Spider-Man 3. They're going to have what's his name? Smith? The
Spider Slayer?
yeah, the Spider Slayers. Because now everybody knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so they could use that for his advantage.
that could be an interesting. That could be real interesting.
Mm-hmm. If you have the Spider Slayers and then maybe put Kraven the Hunter in there because
that'd be awesome.
Because I know Tom Holland said that he wants to go against Kraven the Hunter. That's one of his favorite characters. So that could be good.
I mean, and think of all, if they use any of the comic book stuff for Kraven, think of all the great runs that they've had where, like Kraven actually thought he killed him and killed Peter and stuff. And oh my gosh, that could be just a phenomenal run movie. If they do it right, that would just be.
That could be pretty good.
I might go to the theaters for that one if they do it right. That would be.
If they don't have any more Tony Stark being the dad, the mentor, maybe I'll go see it. But so we're reaching almost an hour here, so I'm going to start winding down.
Okay.
But next up, it looks like we are still in the Spider family, and now we go to Spider-Woman. And then after that, we go to Doctor Strange. Speaking of Spider-Man 3. So we're moving right along. We are now on page 55 out of like 250. So we're getting there.
That's good. That's good run, actually. Reading everything, talking about the stuff. That's good. Quarter of the way.
Yeah. In case anyone is watching this later and wants to join in, we go live every Tuesday night around 4:30, 5 o'clock. You can have the link. We also have an Instagram and a Twitter if you want to follow that. And we're working on some more stuff. Our next video is going to be of Hawkman. Then that's going to talk about how he's his origin story, and he's supposed to be in the new Black Adam movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that for a while. And then I think we're also going to talk about some comic books that I recently got from a friend, Super Palamo Bros. He's also on Instagram, so you might want to check him out too. But thank you for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.
Oh, you too, man. Thanks for letting me on.
Nice.
No
Take
problem. Care. Bye.